The early Dalek comics have some wacky stories, featuring some of the most bizarre enemies the Daleks have faced in their history. However, not all of the threats that the Daleks faced were from other species. Some of these threats were located much closer to home, on Skaro itself. In this video, we'll be looking at 3 of these Skaro threats that the Daleks faced in their early history. Number 1. Metal fatigue. Metal fatigue was a phenomenon that, for many years, prevented the Daleks from leaving Skaro, as it took them a lot of time and research to develop an effective means of combating the immense stress that leaving a planetary atmosphere places on a starship's hull. The Daleks attempted many experiments with starship prototypes, many of which failed due to various accidents related to metal fatigue. Prototype 1 didn't even make it off the launching pad. Prototype 4 made it into orbit with no issues, but was destroyed when the Daleks attempted to break the light barrier. Prototype 9 was able to break the light barrier, but even with a reinforced metal alert hull, the ship melted and fell back to Scaro. It wasn't until Prototype 13 was created, which used Kratorian space science and Zeg's ultra-strong metal alert refrigeration, that the Daleks finally developed their distinctive saucer-shaped ships. Number 2. The Rust Plague. The Rust Plague was accidentally created on Scaro by the Daleks during a Dalatomic beam missile test, which resulted in the creation of a cloud of radioactive rust that could eat away a Dalek casing in seconds. The Black Dalek leader was able to contain the rust cloud, but later realised that the rust had germinated into a plague, which spread from Dalek to Dalek and caused chaos on Scaro, as Daleks began destroying each other out of paranoid fear of the Rust Plague. The outbreak of the Rust Plague was such a serious incident that it forced the Dalek Emperor to abandon its conquest of the planet Solturis and return to Scaro to resolve the matter. But by the time he returned, he found the city in complete disarray and the Black Dalek leader missing. The brain machine later revealed that the Black Dalek leader himself was infected and had been unintentionally infecting Daleks throughout the city. The Black Dalek leader volunteered for extermination, but in a rare moment of mercy, the Emperor spared him and allowed him to be cured in the recasting furnace that burned away the plague. Number 3. Scaro itself. One of the most pressing threats faced by the Daleks in their earliest years were the threats that could be found on the surface of Scaro itself. Slithers, acid lakes, Varga plants, giant electric eels, and leftover remnants from their war with the Thals. Most of the native life on Scaro had been wiped out in the war, so the only species that were able to survive were the most fearsome and hardy of threats. One particular example of this was the Terracon, a gigantic 2-headed armoured lizard creature that could be found in the Lake of Mutations near the Dalek city. As seen in the Dalek invasion of Earth, the Daleks were eventually able to tame various specimens of Scarosian life to use in their invasions, such as the Varga plants or the Supreme Dalek's pet Slither. They also used the likes of the Terracons and the electric eels as natural defences for their city, but they were not able to directly control these creatures, instead keeping them contained outside the city with advanced defences. Which of these 3 obstacles that the Daleks faced in their early years is your favourite? Do you think we'll hear any mention of metal fatigue, the Rust Plague, or the fearsome fauna of Scaro in a future Doctor Who story? Let me know in the comments below.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to
Dalek Bumps.